I remember the first CISO class that I trained back in 2008. I'm entering a room, 20 something people in the class. They're all looking at me with the same set of eyes, the same set of what I later on managed to translate as a doubt in my ability, in my knowledge, in my expertise to teach them. And I'm entering the room and I'm excited, but also questioning um, the whole meaning of what is a CISO. Back then, 2008, you need to understand that a CISO title was just a name. Chief Information Security Officer, sometimes even made mockery. What, this guy is the security guy? What is the title of a C-level? That's not a CEO. That's not a CFO. We know those. What is a CISO? 2008 CISO was kind of a joke title to hold. But look at where we are today, 18 years later. CISO is a thing. CISO is a very important thing for the industry, not just cybersecurity, but any industry, any business. So back then, 2008, I'm entering the room and I'm there to teach business continuity. That was the first CISO class that I took on myself to teach. I was invited. I was very honored to be invited back then. And I had a whole presentation ready behind me, a whole great presentation ready behind me. And I started talking, I started teaching, but then the looks on the face of everybody, as I mentioned, they were not there. They were not there. Something was off. And I was trying to understand what was off. And what I got is the doubt in these people, in these eyes, looking at me and basically asking me without asking me, just hearing the energy, hearing the atmosphere of the room. Who is this guy? Why is he standing over there? Why am I sitting over here? Why am I paying money to hear him? What does he know that I don't? And everybody there, you need to understand, we're in charge of something in security, information security. We didn't even call it cybersecurity back then. Cybersecurity was a term that we started using 2010, 2011, later on. But 2008 was information security. At most, we called it information assurance. That was a very early ages of cybersecurity. So people in the room, they look at me and I'm not the authority to speak to them because they know their pain. Every one of them is going through pain. I'm standing here and trying to teach them something. So instead of that, I forgot the presentation. I put the presentation away. And I decided to take a different one. I said, this class is not going to be about business continuity. This class is going to be about pain. What does it mean? I said, the pain that we all share. And then I made myself vulnerable. And then I started talking about my own pain. I started talking about my own ability to support the businesses that I work with, to put together the picture that makes sense to them, so they can relate to what I do, to see the contribution of what I bring to the table, what information security, again, cybersecurity today. Information security can do good for the business. It's not all about stopping this, stopping that, not allowing users to do this or that. It's more than that. It's contribution to the business. It's make the business thrive. It's making the business owner more independent in their own business. So I made myself vulnerable and I talked about the pain points that I'm familiar with. And then later on, I noticed two things happened in the class. One, the class started opening up. And that's what I love about teaching. Teaching is sharing. And it's not like I'm just sharing my knowledge with you, I'm also sharing experiences with you. And then comes the other best part of you sharing your experiences with me. As your teacher, you want to share. But now I'm not just a teacher, I'm a colleague. Okay? Maybe I'm a partner in some way to your path to success. And that's amazing to me. So the first thing that happened is that the class started opening up with me. The second thing that happened is something clicked in my head, and I said, wow, if all of us are sharing the same frustration of how do we support the businesses that we work for, that we're part of, maybe there needs to be a solution for this. Because a problem cannot sustain itself. We cannot just agree to have that problem. And I'm talking just about that problem of how to be a successful and helpful and meaningful and with value CISO to my organizations, to those that work with me, and later on in my organization, the business that I build. So that point in time that I realized that the only difference between me and my class is the fact that I'm standing in front of them and they're sitting down. That's the only difference that we had. We all share the same frustration. It clicked in my head, and it made me decide to solve the problem of helping us in the CISO position, which is a very lonely position to hold, in the CISO position, to be able to communicate responsibly, effectively, efficiently with the business that we work in through a lot of data, a lot of information. These days, 30 years later, we got a lot more information than when I started back in 1995, certainly since 2008, when the whole CISO thing started happening back then. We have a lot of data sources, a lot of information sources coming in, and being bombarded with a lot of this, especially today with AI. Which one is true? Which one is more important than others? We need to solve that, and that's exactly the point that I decided to solve that problem, to make the CISO, the person, there's always going to be a person, a decision maker, the person more empowered by whatever we can bring with technology, but also knowledge, experience, and put together the picture for them.